Hey, what's going on? ZmanTheTech here, and I want to thank you for tuning into SnoleyGames. As always, I appreciate you very much. And this is a long overdue video for me. I've been waiting to do this for a minute, but I've been so busy. A lot of stuff going on. Um, but anywho, I'm finally getting to it. And I wanted to cover the RetroGo custom firmware for the ODROID Go. Uh, for those of you that may remember, the ODROID Go was a DIY handheld that you pretty much fully assemble out of the box. Write your firmware to it, and add your ROMs and play some Game Boy games and Game Gear and um, NES, Game Boy Color, and a few other things that you can mess around with. Now, for those that remember, also it worked relatively okay, but it could have did with a software update. And the Retro Go is a really nice one that was put together by a person that wrote the software here. Basically, what's going to happen here is we're going to go navigate to the official GitHub for RetroGo. The latest version is 1.38.1 per this video. So you want to go ahead and download the RetroGo for the ODROID Go here. Make sure it's the ODROID Go. We don't want to break anything. So yeah, download this one, which I already have. And as you can see here, I've located it here. Now, in this window, we have the root of the ODROID Go micro SD card. So what we want to do is navigate to the ODROID folder, go to the firmware folder, and we're going to drag this RetroGo firmware into here, which you already see on mine, so I'm not going to do it. As you can see, it's currently here. And that's pretty much it as far as like what you do on the PC. Now, on the handheld is where we finish the process. So let's go ahead over there.
All right, so back to the ODROID. What you want to do to flash this firmware is hold the B button and hit the power switch. Keep holding it until you see the menu pop up. There you go. Now what you want to do is navigate to the firmware in question, and this is going to be RetroGo 1.38.1. Going to press the A button. All right, and we're going to press start. Okay, this process is going to take a little while, so I'm going to fast forward through this. Okay, now don't be alarmed. It's going to say that the application crashed and that there was a log saved to the SD card. Don't worry. Basically, the firmware has officially written to it. You can go ahead and press A button. All right, and we are in RetroGo. Okay, so before we get going any further, we're going to go back to the PC for one quick thing.
Now, this is assuming that you've already completed the firmware flash and you're looking for your saves and you're like, where are my saves at that I had previously? No worries. We're going to go ahead and show you how to get that. So now you're going to notice that there's a new folder here. You might have saw it before because I already had it. But if you didn't have this on your the root of your micro SD card, you will after the firmware flash for RetroGo. What we want to do is go back to ODROID folder, go to data, and you're going to see an extra thing here on mine called Retro ESP32. That's part of another firmware that you could also try. I'll save that for a separate video. I actually like RetroGo better, so I didn't really showcase this one, but if interested, just let me know. But anyway, you're going to copy all of the folders for each console, just minus this. You're not going to see that. So you're going to copy all of these. Okay, copy path. And that it shows me that on I'm using Windows 11 for this tutorial, so it's probably going to look a little different for you, but basically you just want to copy those, go back, and you want to go to RetroGo, go to saves, and paste them here. You're probably going to see a few extra there because it covers a few more consoles with that firmware. I'm not going to be showing all of them because I don't have ROMs for them, but yeah, just keep in mind that these other ones are supported, you know, MSX, PC Engine, and so forth. All right. And once you copy them there, that's pretty much it. That's how you back up your saves.
All right, so we're back. And now that your saves are backed up, excuse me, we're gonna go ahead and kind of show you some of the things that you can do with this. Now, I'm just gonna cycle through some of the, you know, options that we have here, as far as platforms you can play. So it starts off on Game Boy. Got Game Boy Color, Game & Watch, Sega Master System, Game Gear, Genesis, which it's not the greatest. It's a little stuttery, but it is there. ColecoVision, PC Engine, which PC Engine I don't really have any. I don't think I have any ROMs currently for that, or I haven't gotten it to work, but it is there. We have Atari Lynx, and then some of the ports that are supported, which you can actually access now from the main menu as opposed to having to boot from it on that menu that you saw the firmware on, that I held B and hit the power switch on. You can actually play it from this menu, which is pretty cool. I want to say it has all the mods too. Got favorites, recently played, NES. Super Nintendo is also, again, like the Genesis on here. For one, there's not enough buttons, and two, it doesn't really run well at all, like at all. It's more of just an added bonus if you want to tinker with it. But that's pretty much it. So one of the main things I want to show, I'm not going to show a whole bunch, just kind of some of the gameplay for Game Boy, you know, just to kind of show you some of the things that have been added outside of the normal firmware for ODROID GO. So say for instance, we, like I said, we still have our artwork. If you had the ROM art folder located on your the root of your micro SD, all that stuff carries over. It still shows all of that, which is pretty cool. So it does kind of overlap the actual name of the files, which it's okay. As long as you're cycling through and you know what you're playing, I guess it's still fine, but just something to consider. I do kind of prefer the way it was on the official firmware, how it would show it once you added the ROM art and stuff. It would show it basically after you've chose the ROM that you want to play, and then went forward. Not a huge deal, but you know, it's a change. But anywho, we're gonna go ahead and launch it. We're gonna actually see, it gives us the option to resume game. So as you know, with the original firmware, basically how the save states worked, where once you backed out of a game, it would basically kind of save your state at that point. And when you go back into the game, if you chose the resume option, it would start from there. Or if you chose new game, it would just restart the ROM. And it would overwrite every time you back out if you started a new game. So there's some changes to that too. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and resume to slot 1. Okay. So that's the distance into the game I got. It is a little loud, so we're probably going to turn that down to 35. And basically you see a new menu here when you hit the audio button. This is where you can actually change quite a few things. You could change the scaling to fit, full, or off. If you do off, it's really, really small. So if you do fit, it does the official aspect ratio. And if you do full, undoubtedly, it's gonna stretch it out and make it the length and width of the actual screen, which isn't official, aspect ratio. So I keep mine on fit. Okay, and then we have filters. Mine's is set to both currently. I don't really mess with that too much, but the palette is really what you want to change. You can do like, there are some things you can mess with the filter, but I kind of like it where I have it. So we can do the pocket, I think it starts with DMG, and you have pocket, you have the Game Boy Light, Game Boy Color, Super Game Boy, which is going to be slightly colorized. And then the palettes, just, there's so many. You have like 30 something here. So Super Game Boy is actually not too bad. So it's kind of hard to keep it in the viewfinder and play at the same time, but figured I'd give it a try. But yeah, if you remember how it ran on the original firmware, it was a little jerky. I think it's a little more smooth on this one. Kind of more at your discretion. Oh, got hurt. It worked out perfectly because I would have died right there, but I died anyway, so. Alright, so we'll basically, if you hit the menu button, you can save and quit. Go back to that slot 0. Okay, and it'll save those settings too. Whatever you chose as far as your palette and stuff, all that stuff carries over, at least for the Game Boy, and so forth. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I was going to keep it a short one this time. Just kind of wanted to show you some of the stuff you could do with RetroGo. So yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. If you want to see some more testing, or showcase some more, how more games run, I could definitely do that. But for the most part, yeah, it runs pretty well. A little bit better performance than the previous firmware, and you get some more options as far as what kind of games you can play too. Okay. But if you enjoyed the video and like what you saw, definitely consider liking, subscribing, and thanks again for all the support. I appreciate it very much, man. Again, this is more or less a hobby for me. I'm getting pretty close to being able to monetize the channel. I've been doing it for since 2018, so with just literally the love of wanting to document everything that I touch, or kind of put together or whatever. So but yeah, I appreciate you very much, and let's keep on the rise and get to where we want to be, But I hope this helps someone that was on the fence about trying RetroGo firmware for the ODROID GO. And more or less, I just wanted to help, breathe some more life into this device. Because with the official firmware on this card that came with it, which I do recommend, you probably want to go with a SanDisk or something a little more robust, more reputable brand than the non-named micro SD that they give you with the ODROID GO, and all these handhelds for that matter. It kind of like freaked out over time, and I was like, I thought something was wrong with my screen. I was like, oh no, my ODROID GO is dying on me. But it ended up being just a bad image on a bad card. So after I flashed it again, I brought new life to this device, and I'm happy to be able to mess with this again. It was such a cool project. So anywho, have a good one. Take care. See you on the next one.
Futuristic classic. Time is of the essence. I feel I got it mastered. Futuristic classic. It's always moving forward, so I'm never moving backwards.